Hello once again, players of good video games. My name is Nick Pell and this is my review of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Now this is a spin-off of the Uncharted universe taking place after the events of Uncharted 4 Thief's End. And I'll admit up front, that game was not my favorite game of the year. It wasn't even my favorite game of the franchise. I had some issues with Uncharted 4. So that said, while I was very skeptical going into Uncharted Lost Legacy, knowing that it's a spin-off, it focuses on two different characters, which are not the main focuses of the main four games. So that part got me excited, and I wanted to see what Naughty Dog could bring to the series when it's not focusing on Nathan Drake. Does it succeed without him? Let's find out.
Pizza's on me. Deal?
Deal.
Good. Shit. Damn it.
Sir,
Wait.
sir,
Oh,
please.
God.
My dad, we were eating ice cream. I can't find him. I can't get home without him.
It's okay. What happened?
He was standing over there. I turned around and he was gone. Wait, there he is. There he is. Take me, sir.
Starting off with the story, a large amount of this game takes place in India. Pretty much the entire game actually takes place in India. That's one significant difference from the main Uncharted games. You're not bouncing from continent to continent, country to country. You are stuck in one location. You have a bit of free roaming in one chapter, but for the most part you are in your own spot. You're not going to move. Our main two protagonists this time around are Chloe and Nadine. Chloe from Uncharted 2 originally, and Nadine from Uncharted 4. Now this is a very interesting pairing because we have Chloe, who is mainly a protagonist, a sidekick to Nathan Drake, but we have Nadine, who was the villain essentially, or part of the villain of Uncharted 4, which is really interesting to put those two people together. And when they start out, as you would expect, they kind of butt heads. They don't really want to be in the situation more than they have to, but over the course of the game they kind of begin to bond, and you get to see their relationship form between these two people, and it's really fun to see that happen as they open up and begin to express kind of what their backgrounds are and things of that sort, because those aren't things, at least as far as I can remember, that we've ever really touched on in the Uncharted franchise. And as I said, Nathan Drake is nowhere to be found in this game, and so is strictly Chloe and Nadine's game. There's still the essence of the Drake brothers, though, throughout the course of this game, because it does feel like an Uncharted game throughout the whole course of the game. You're just controlling Chloe instead of Drake. The game is also very short. It is split into 9 chapters with a prologue and an epilogue, and I would say, depending on your skill level, of course, and the difficulty that you start out with, it will take you about 8 to 10 hours to complete. Moving on to graphics, the graphics look stunning. They are pretty much as good as you would expect. They're at the level of Uncharted 4, what that was, if not better now with a couple of years behind it. The character models for both Nadine and Chloe look great, along with all their supporting characters. The environments are very bright, colorful, rich, and it's always very, very fun to see these ancient structures which this game creates throughout the course of its experience. And there is one particular spot, and it deals with a trophy as well, where you get to just see the whole of India just open up around you, and it's just a very cool just surrounding shot, and it just shows how awesome Naughty Dog is with its graphic capabilities. In regards to gameplay, it's pretty much the same things which you've come to expect with the Uncharted franchise. There's a lot of running and gunning, there are some stealth elements if you want to embrace those. One thing which was really refreshing was the fact that the vehicle really controls really well in this game. I don't really remember how well it did in Uncharted 4, it's been a while, but having played a recent game which didn't have a really great vehicle control, having this just work really, really flawlessly, rarely having any issues with it, was really refreshing. There are a lot of puzzles throughout this game along with enemy encounters. There are probably more puzzles though than enemy encounters, so just know that. For the most part, they're not too terribly difficult. There are some which are associated with specific trophies. If you want to see those, go for trophy guides. But for the most part, I was able to figure out all the puzzles on my own without any significant help. There are also a bunch of collectibles, as again you would come to expect with the Uncharted franchise. There are treasures to be found, loot boxes to loot, optional conversations to find, pictures to take, things of that nature. There's a lot of them, and if you do spend a lot of your time searching for them, it does deprive the game of some of its story-based elements and some of the fun that you would naturally have with it, just because you are seeking out these specific things which aren't necessarily the most fun to find. Chapter 4 is the biggest open world area, and it has a ton of collectibles within it. So I spent a good probably 3 hours just hunting down everything, and it did kind of take away from the experience until I finally got back into the story elements of it. The villain of the game was associated with Nadine. He's not the most interesting person in the world, and I really would have liked to see a little bit more dealt with him personally. There are some good cutscenes and whatnot, and they do expand on him slightly, but he is in the end kind of just a mustache twirling villain who wants to do a very basic thing that a lot of villains just kind of do for the heck of it. He doesn't really have an ultimate motive, and he's not ultimately very concerned with the ultimate treasure that he's going after. But guys, overall, I had a really fun time playing Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. I was actually very surprised at how much I enjoyed this thing, especially as someone who really enjoyed Uncharted 2, didn't really appreciate Uncharted 3 or 4 as much as I probably should have. I was very skeptical about going into this thing. I came out of it very, very happy that I did. I took the plunge. It was very fun to see Chloe and Nadine make for fantastic protagonists. And if this game sells well, I'm really curious to see if they decide to give them more adventures, because this duo works really nicely, and maybe give them a full 20+ chapter game. That'd be really neat to see. But guys, those are my thoughts on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on gaming.
Here we go!